Jai Shri Krishna to all of you, and welcome to our Path to Anandam series, Freedom from Pains and Miseries to Happy, Healthy and Peaceful Life, based on Srimad Bhagavad Gita and 108 mantras. And today's is series number 12, The Science of Suffering and Go Beyond. Pranam to Guruji, Hariharji Maharaj, for your blessing. Charan Pranam to Swamiji, Guruji, and with your blessings, whatever you see here, it's all his blessings. Getting together, founding the path to Anandam, his motivation to write the books and making every single book bestseller on Amazon. It's all his blessings. I'm Satya Kalra, your host, and chosen by Guruji, guided by Guruji and Lord Krishna. And we will be focusing, speaking about Gita verse, chapter 2, 62 and 63. And in today's session, it's a root cause of suffering, pains. What is the root cause of our sufferings, everyone's suffering in this world? We are all, one time or another time, everyone suffers. So what are the root causes? And why do we lose our memory? Why do we get into negativity? And then how to transcend, how to go beyond it once we get there. And then some action, practices, homework, and sankalpa. The tip of the day, meditation and question and answers. So let's pray to Lord Krishna first as a Arjuna, because we are the Arjunas of today's. So let's ask for his guidance with our humble request by surrendering to him, because our very second sankalpa, first sankalpa was new of me. We want to transform, we want to go beyond our limitations. And then the sankalpa, I am Arjuna, and I will do as you advise. But to get to that level, let's pray and ask for his guidance. Be aware, who am I? Why am I here? And how to live in this life and go beyond. Karpanye dosho pahat swabhava paschyami tvam dharma sammood cheta yachshriyani nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapanyam shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapanyam shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapanyam. My heart is overpowered by the weakness of pity. I have lost all of my composure, and my mind is confused about my duty, my dharma. I am requesting you to tell me what is definitely good for me I am your disciple. I surrender to you. Please advise me. And here Arjuna is a student. We are all a student and the divine company, the Lord Krishna, who has become the teacher, guiding, telling Arjuna step by step how to live in this world. He hands him the instruction manual of life, not just to him, but to all of us, named Srimad Gita, which teaches us how to contemplate and develop equanimity and attain eternal happiness and peace while living in this world and beyond. And this is what Hariharji Maharaj give us many definitions of Bhagavad Gita. In every talk, he just mentioned that in different way, how Gita is applied in our life. And as this is a chapter 2, self-knowledge, equanimity. Actually, this chapter is basically the summary of whole entire Bhagavad Gita. First, it tells him what is Atma. Atma is permanent. Nenam chidanti shastrani, nenam daheti pavaka, na chainyam kaldentampo, na shochati marika. It's a waterproof. It's a weapon proof. Nobody can cut it. Nobody can burn it. It's a fireproof. And that's what who we are. Body is what is the carrier for the Atma is temporary. And then the next thing he teaches him how to live in this world, how to do your karma, how to convert your karma into dharma. Basically, how to do the art of work, which is called karma yoga. Action with love and compassion, with wisdom for the benefit of all. Sarva bhuti terata. And he tells him that yogasya kuru karmani sangam takva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva sammatta yoga uchyate. Any activity you do that must take you to union with your higher self. And that's where Arjuna asks the question. He gets kind of excited. He says, now what is Lord Krishna telling me? First he says, Karmanye vadika raste ma phaleshu kadachan, ma karma phal hetu bhurma, sango astu karmani. Do everything for the benefit of all without expecting any results. No attachment to the results. And now he's telling me new thing. Samta, samatva yoga uchyate. Yoga, you can do the yoga only when you are equanimous, when you are calm, because doing the yoga, that is the best action you can do. And he says, he tells him, but he says, yoga karmesu koshlam. But how to perform, how to be calm. And then he gives a new word to him, buddhi yukto. And Arjuna gets more and more confused. And that's where he's taking him through all these activities, all these explanations as a good teacher. One word at a time. Yoga as a one time. Samatva as a one time. And now new word, buddhi yukto. And after buddhi yukta, Arjuna gets more confused. And Lord Krishna tells him how you can have the buddhi yukta. the problem why we do not have the buddhi yukta. Because our senses and many things Lord Krishna explains him, because Arjuna is so confused. And he finally asked him these 4 questions. And this is what the whole session is all about. We are taking one question answer to these questions one at a time. Because Lord Krishna says, be in a status of equanimity, Sthita-Prajna, where the 4 questions are, what are the hallmarks of Sthita-Prajna? What do you mean by being equanimous? What are those hallmarks? He wants to know more about it. How would he recognize in this world who is Sthita-Prajna? And if he develops the Sthita-Prajna, what are the symptoms, hallmarks he would develop? But how he speaks, he asked more detail. What language he speaks? How does he walk? How does he sit? He asked many, many questions. And all this, what we have started this session, is answering his Arjuna's questions. And that's where Lord Krishna is guiding him. And very first thing he tells him, Prajahati yada kaman, sarvan manogatan. Hey Parth, sarvan Parth manogatan. Atmanev atma tushta sthit pragasya dochate. When one is completely free from all desires of one's mind, when one mind is purified, fully satisfied, no more craving, then one is calm and sthit prajna. Up to now, we have talked about previous.
I went to the bathroom, so I just showered, but I still have to brush.
Please. Mute, please. He gives him the idea how to recognize the person completely, fully satisfied. As Arjuna, when he got fully satisfied with his answer, then he could say Karishe Vachanam Tav. So Lord Krishna wants all of us to get to that level where we are not confused and we are always calm and being guided with his power, and our buddhi is in buddhi yoga. In other words, our buddhi is united with him. And again, Lord Krishna Arjuna gets more confused. What are you talking about? And then Lord, because he says how he walks, how he sits, and then Lord Krishna explains him again. Yada sairate chayam, karmo agniv sarvasha. He gives him the example of total. Like a total, one should use his senses and take the senses out only if necessary. Otherwise, keep control on it. So basically, he's saying live like a total. Use your senses, your eyes, your ears, your tongue, your mouth, your feelings, your smell, whatever. Do use it when it is necessary, but make a best use of it. So he says, when one completely withdraws the senses from sense objects as a total, then one can consider Sthita-Prajna. But before Sthita-Prajna, here he says Sthita-Prajna Pratishta. He is talking about buddhi, not the final thing equanimity, Sthita-Prajna. It's the path of Sthita-Prajna. Prior to that, there is a Prajna Pratishta, calmness of the mind. Put our buddhi, unite our buddhi with the supreme power. So first we have to take our senses, put our senses in the lap of intellect. And from that, he takes him to now the next subject. And he tells him what are the root causes, because Arjuna is so confused. He says, there are so many things. Like we all always, how could we be calm? We have so many issues, so many concerns. And Lord Krishna gives us a one root cause of our suffering, our unhappiness, because whole session is about how to be happy. So what are those reasons that we get unhappy? We suffer. And he says, Dhyayato Vishan Punsa, Sangasteshu Pujayate, Sanga Sanjayate Kama, Kama Krodho Vijayate, Krodha Bhavati Sammoha, Sammoha Smriti Vibhrama, Smriti Branshad Buddhi Nasho, Buddhi Nasha Pranshati. This is a verse. If we can master this verse, we will truly live in awareness. And this is the verse which has been taught. In management, if you look at it, everything depends on this verse. Lord Krishna has not left anything in Bhagavad Gita for us to understand. And this is the root cause of our suffering. And he says, Dhyayato, when one contemplates on something, develops the attachment. Now let's take just this particular Dhyayato Vishan Punsa Sangasteshu Jayate. When we think about something, we want that. If I'm thinking about, or someone thinks about getting just think nowadays Tesla is a very popular car. Many people want to have that for the environmental reasons or whatever reasons are, and want to just think about Tesla. Now you have to book the Tesla car. And they tell you, it takes you 12 months, 18 months, 6 months. It's a waiting period. However, I'm thinking about it. Once we think about, keep thinking, well, I want that thing. So now I want to go and book the car. Now there is a waiting period. Or maybe somebody got it. I didn't get it. What happens? I'm so much thinking about it. Every time I drive my regular car, I say, I wish I had a Tesla. I wish I see people on the freeway and I say, I wish I had that. That might not to apply, this example might not apply to all of you, but I just picked up because that's lately I could think about it. But car is a very good example. When we first came to this country, our very first car was Volkswagen. And when we saw the other people's Impala and other cars, then desire came. I wish I have that car. Because that's something that we drive every day and we get connected to it and we think about it. So we develop the attachment. Now, suppose I don't get it. Sanga sanjayate kama kama krodho vijayate. So here is my desire. I want it. Now, I don't get it. Some to whatever the reasons are. Then what happens? Kama krodho vijayate. I get very upset. I get very angry. And here it says, anger is only one step away from danger. You just put the D in front of it, desires and D. You put that there, then it becomes anger. And then what happens? Krodha bhavati sammoha. Sammoha smriti vibhrama. The more angry we are, more upset we are, the more we forget who we are. We even sometimes say things which we regret later on because we are upset, we are angry. We do certain things when we are angry, we are upset. So what happens? We forget, we get confused. And smriti vibhrama. And when our smriti, we lose our memory, our buddhi vinash, pranshati, then our intellect, buddhi kharab ho gayi. Why we did those things? Because hamari buddhi kharab ho gayi thi. So similarly, when we put in our this situation, so these selfless desires are the cause of our miseries. But prior to that, that's what we had been talking about it. But prior to that, Lord Krishna says, no, desires don't come automatically. We think about it, we contemplate. That's very, very important to know. That whatever we think, our thoughts, it leads to our speech, leads to our action, and leads to our behavior. This is how we behave. It becomes our habit. That becomes our destiny. Based on just this verse, Steve Covey, very popular, and he had a bestseller on New York Times. Is call it New York bestseller, 7 Habits. All his 7 habits are based on this verse. And this is where I call this, these are the causes, but the root cause is our contemplation, which leads to attachments, desires, anger, greed, ego. If we get it, we want more. We don't get it, we get angry. If we get it, not only we want more. You know, greed is like, you know, when we get the khujli, when we have itching, then we keep itching, keep khujli, you know, we keep scratching. And then it gets, finally, sometimes it becomes so red, so wound. This is what the greed does to our emotions and our life. It totally disturbs our life. It takes us to disasters. And if we get it, then of course, I'm the best one because I got it. So my ego, my arrogancy goes up. And so all this envy, hatred, this is all the causes of one thing, what we think about it. Now, the next question comes. Many times we don't have a control of our thoughts. It comes all of a sudden. I don't know where this thought came from. I don't know why I said this thing. I don't know why I did this thing. Because there is another thing, another power which is controlling us. All these senses, all this, where does the contemplation come? Where does dhyana come? It's a mind. So Lord Krishna then explains further to Arjuna. And he tells him, because Arjuna still is confused. And Lord Krishna says, okay, the reason you are confused because there is a now, after the senses, there is another master of the senses who is the mind. And what is mind? Mind is the storage. It has a lot of thoughts, our sanskaras, our previous karmas, everything. Our subconscious mind has all kind of thoughts stored. It's a storage house. And that's why all of a sudden something triggers. We even not aware of it and it triggers. And sometimes we say things because we have thought about it. And that's where Lord Krishna also says that mind is like a wind. Your thoughts are like a wind. If you put the mind upside, it's a mind. Make a best use of it. And it's so fast, it thinks so fast, it's like a wind. But if the wind is not controlled, it becomes tornado, where you can see it right here. It becomes a tornado. That's why many places you see these windmills are put. and they take the wind, and with the windmill, they take this wind into and convert that into energy, electricity. So that's where Lord Krishna says, mind is very fast, thoughts are very fast, but we should make the best use of our mind. Man prasadam somatma monam atam vinigraha bhav shuddhir ityetapo manasam uchyate. This is a tapasya. This is the austerity of mind. Make the best use of mind. Otherwise, it will become our enemy. Right here, you can see it. It becomes our enemy. Therefore, we should very carefully focus on our contemplation, what we think, because it's a very restless. Mind is a very restless. Arjuna says, what are you talking about? He talks about more detail in chapter 6, how to self-discipline our mind, because it is very active. It's very chanchal. Its speed is like a wind. How can we control the mind? You cannot control wind. How could you control your thoughts? How could you control your mind? And that's where Lord Krishna says that how we should do it. We have all the reasons, but now here comes the homework for us. Root causes of our problems, our issues. And Lord Krishna says, in Bhagavad Gita, this is a summary of it, because this is where the Arjuna became aware that he could not perform his duty. He was confused. So he says, first thing, we should live in awareness. And then analyze it. Arjuna said he could not fight because his grandparents are sitting there. He analyzed the situation, why he cannot perform his duty. Dharma Kshetra. He was in Dharma Kshetra, but he could not perform the war of Dharma. Why? So this is where the homework comes for us, because as I said, we are the Arjunas and we get in this situation. So the question comes, bring the self-awareness, the self-inquiry. Why am I suffering? Why am I unhappy? What do I think most of the time? What do I contemplate? What do I do my dhyana? This is the gist of this verse, 62 and 63. Make a list of our thoughts. What do I think most of the time? What do I desire? What are my desires? What upsets me? What are the sentences came out of my mouth which I did not like it? What kind of action I perform? This is a tapasya. What are my issues? There are diseases, there are things, emotions, hurt, anger. We can take care of our diseases, we can go to the doctor, but our emotions, we have to be really aware of it. And then here comes the third part. I said triple A, self-awareness, self-analysis, and the third one is A, self-awareness, action and practice. But how can we do this? That question, we all have it. And again, self-disciplining, self-control. We have to have our lifestyle. As I said, the session we started on 1st of year, very first session is a new of me. We have to go to the new lifestyle. We cannot live the same lifestyle and expect the better results. It says, unless we change our action, we will get the same results. So we have to have more disciplined life. We have to, Lord Krishna says, Yogi Bhava Arjuna. We have to live like, not the yogi, where just have to wear the orange clothes and just live in the ashrams. Live in the grast ashram like a yogi. In other words, he says, live in the divinity. Contemplate on the divinity. See in the goodness. Divinity means see goodness. Here I put the 5 monkeys here. See goodness. Or in other words, don't think negatively. That negativity takes us to down, and goodness, which is called the sattvic behavior, live in the sattvic lifestyle, that will nistray guna bhava Arjuna, that will uplift us. That's what Lord Krishna guided us. So that uplifts us. And then he says, control your senses. As I said before and previous verses, I am sure you remember that. Yada sairate chayam, kurmo agniv sarvasya. That was so important. This is my favorite verse. This is this imagining I am a turtle. Every time senses come out, if I see something wrong, if I, whatever my senses, and I say, well, I have to take these senses back to my kavach. This is just a reminder. So that's where he says, live in my consciousness and focus on it. Who I am Satchitananda. And whatever is happening temporary. So live in the divinity, control our senses, put the ceiling on them. What if I want? Is this my want? Is this my need? And then how do we live in his consciousness? So make best use of your senses. We cannot just sit and do the meditation all the time, do mantras all the time, but we listen to things, we see things, we do things, we think. All these things is just focus on me, do everything for me. Just every time we are confused, just say, how would Lord Krishna would do it? How would, if you have a favorite guru, how would this guru will do it? So this is how when we have a divine thoughts, then the detachment automatically comes. And then our selfishness goes down. We are not just thinking for ourselves, but we are thinking about sarva bhut hiterata. And then whatever we do, regular karma, like I'm talking, I'm doing, but if I'm doing conscious, I'm speaking consciously with love and compassion, that becomes my dharma. I do the actions, but if I put love and compassion into every action, whether I'm doing as a wife or I'm doing as a head of the corporation or doing it as the head of the family or doing it as in the community or whatever even if I'm driving, I drive with love and compassion, with calm mind, so I don't get involved in the accidents. So everything we do, if we put all these ingredients into it, it becomes dharma. And then we experience divinity. We experience sattvicness within us, the calm mind, pragya pratishta, that the calmness. Once we are there, then the equanimity, the samta will come automatically. And then that is the requirement, foundation to feel happy, peaceful, and Satchit Ananda. So our Sankalpa number 12, I hope you remember all those previous Sankalpas, at least the time we started with this particular subject about the equanimity. So now this Sankalpa is, I focus on my divinity. I focus, I am beyond my limitation, those 5 + 2 enemies. I am beyond that. And this is, as I said, turtle is again here. It's a slow process. Have a patience. Take a sankalpa. But don't be attached to it. Sometime we are going to fall back. Sometime we are going to move forward. And as Lord Krishna says in the previous slide, and I can take you back just to remind, Sarva dharma paritajye, mamekam sharanam braj, aham tam sarpapebhyo, mokshashyami ma shuchi. Do your best of the best of the best. That is the austerity. That is your lifestyle should be. And then let me take care of it. Don't worry about it. So do our best and let go and enjoy whatever we are doing. So thank you very much for attending this session, the science of suffering, the details where the suffering comes from, step by step, and how we should go beyond. Then we can experience happy, healthy, and peaceful life. And Satchit Ananda. In our next session is meditation. And the today's meditation will be focused on I contemplate on my divinity. Contemplation on my divinity. I am equanimous.